National attention and a plot that keeps thickening. Parker was arraigned on both of those charges today, though she maintains her innocence. She'd hoped to stay out of jail while awaiting a potential trial. Instead, a judge put her back in handcuffs, upping her bail to $150,000 and tacking a few conditions on top of that. Prosecutors allege that Parker posed as a photographer, specifically shooting newborns, kind of courting the mothers along the way, possibly to build some type of relationship between the mother and the baby. Alyssa Miller, one of those moms, says that Parker drugged her with tainted cupcakes, all in an attempt to get access to her newborn. Today, a judge said the crimes Parker is accused of violate the safety and security of small children and said the court just can't ignore that. News of her going back to jail, though, wasn't comforting to at least one of those mothers.
Will I be able to take a shower knowing that she could bail out and come to my house? No. Will I sleep content? No. Just because she's behind bars, that doesn't give me a peace of mind. She still knows where I live at. She still knows my children.
And listen to this. Investigators say that Parker didn't go at this alone. They say her 16-year-old daughter was with her at the photo shoot in question. That teen, who we're not identifying because of her age, remains in a juvenile justice facility awaiting an arraignment of her own. If Parker does meet the portion required of that $150,000 bail, there are conditions on her release. She's required to stay local just in the surrounding counties, and she's prohibited from having any contact with her daughter in Tacoma. Sebastian Robertson, King 5 News.